Hello EFD squad and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Joining me is two titans of the YouTube game to answer your questions. It is Joseph Van Straten and Patrick Tomlinson. How the devil are you, pair?
Good.
You look absolutely buzzing.
Okay.
Weren't tempted to take a half day today to go and queue up at night town to get the Nigeria kit like some people?
You could have told me
which was totally
we were wearing
unacceptable.
green. Like, I feel a little bit out of place.
Well, me and Patrick think of new ways every week to make you feel like a spare part.
I know, I can tell. So true.
Not really, mate. Come on. We're all in this together. First question comes from Hoskulda Agutson, who's pretty prolific on Continental Club, who asks, will Mourinho eventually win the league with United, or will he ruin the club and leave it under a cloud? So one extreme to the other. Hoskulda does not about. Jose Mourinho, Joseph, as the Manchester United fan, do you see things getting any better from here? It's getting harder and harder to win the Premier League with the calibre of manager that's there now. Pep building somewhat of a dynasty. It'd be Jose's greatest achievement if he won the league title in the Premier League at current, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think we've spoken about that before, haven't we? We've all said that if he can defeat this Man City team with this Man United side, then he'll love it. But I don't think he's going to ruin the club as such. He is going to leave it in a negative place, though. That's my opinion. I don't think he's going to win a league title. He's not going to beat Pep Guardiola. It's more likely that he wins a Champions League than he does a Premier League.
Ooh, hot take.
I don't know. I think that's an easier route to success, to be completely honest, than over the whole course of 8-9 months trying to beat Manchester City week in, week out. Don't see that happening. The way he might leave it under a cloud is if he starts to sell some of our younger players and our potential stars of the future in favour of short-term immediate success with 29 to 32-year-olds that he's currently trying to sign. The move for Marko Arnautovic, extremely puzzling. That might just be paper talk, but either way, it's clear he's trying to sign an older striker to play a supporting role to Romelu Lukaku. If it's not Arnautovic, it might well be Mario Mandzukic. I don't particularly have a problem with the Mandzukic move, actually. I think maybe we do need a backup striker up there because there's a lot of pressure on Rashford to play in multiple positions. He's still very young, so I wouldn't mind that too much. But what I think cannot happen if we sign these players is that we also sell the young players that they replace. So don't be signing Mandzukic and selling Martial. Don't be signing Arnautovic and selling Rashford. Players like this, that's a worry for me that we're going to start doing that.
Especially if you sign Gareth Bale as well. Then you have Bale is approaching 29. Sanchez is approaching 30 and Lukaku is 25?
25,
if you offload Martial and Rashford doesn't get the playing time, then like you said.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Shaw can't get a minute either, can he? Pogba will inevitably start for us, but Matic is getting no younger either. He's probably approaching 30, might be 30, I'm not too sure. There's also the issue with Eric Bailly, why he's not starting games for us last season. I think Jose used the excuse of he's not going to the World Cup or something like that, so that's the reason he's not playing. What a load of utter nonsense. If that's the case, then why was Alexis Sanchez starting every game and Martial on the bench? So I think that's bullshit. But there's a lot of surgery to be done to that Man United squad. We've spoken about it, I think, very briefly on Sunday Vibes with the lack of midfield depth at the club, the central defensive issues, the dead wood at the back in Blint, Darmian, Smalling, Jones, Rojo. It goes on and on. It's pretty deep there. Probably the lack of an out-and-out backup striker and any width on the right-hand side. So there's massive surgeries to be done to the squad, and he's already spent £300 million. So I'm slightly worried as a United fan in the state he's going to leave the club in when he goes, because he's clearly going for short-term success. But I don't know what you boys think.
Is the club at current in a better state than when he took over?
100%,
I mean, that would be the quick counter-argument to that, right?
Yeah, I think it's definitely in a better state than when he took over. When Louis van Gaal was in charge, it was rotten.
So is he not, gradually making it easier for whoever comes in to be successful as opposed to how it was for him when he arrived?
What do you think?
Well, to some extent, if he's, but that's only true if he improves the squad. I mean, at the moment, he's getting a reasonable amount out of the squad, but not as much as he did last season. Like this year, they've scored more goals and they've conceded fewer. But on the other hand, their shots numbers have declined. Like they're taking 13.5 shots a game compared to nearly 16 last year. They're conceding nearly 12 a game, which is up from about 9.5 last year. So you know, like their ability basically to get shots of their own and prevent the other team taking shots, those are declining.
But Romelu Lukaku missed a fair few games, right, with that injury intermittently over the course of the season. So would these numbers look better with Romelu in the side? Obviously hard to increase an average dramatically, but I'm guessing they would have scored even more goals, so the comparison would have looked even more impressive from the 68 to 54.
Like, my worry there would be like the general decline, particularly defensively, which is obviously Mourinho's speciality. Like that would really worry me a little bit. So he's obviously not going to ruin the club, but he will almost certainly leave under a cloud because that's how he always leaves. Like, it's impossible to get Mourinho out of your club without him being pissed off and trying to burn the place down.
It's going to be Mourinho at the end of this season will have finished like third, fallen out of the Champions League, fallen out with the board because they've not bought the right players. And then what will happen? Ed Woodward will go, who's the most Galactico manager available on the market? Zinedine Zidane, in a Manchester United shirt, come 2019. Cut this out right now because I'm guaranteed it happens next summer.
That would be rogue. I mean, Swagato Saka will find that in seconds, so there's no need to cut it out. But,
who knows? Maybe they'll get lucky though.
Zinedine Zidane in the Premier League.
Be interesting to see.
What about, on the subject of managers, we did a reaction to it on Sunday Vibes, which you'll see in due course. But what do we think to Pochettino potentially going to Real Madrid? Today, rumours surfaced that obviously Spurs will be looking for a huge amount of compensation because he's just signed that 5-year deal. I've seen sums upward of £40 million.
Yeah, 42.5, I think.
Have been quoted. And in, I think in Spain, AS are calling him El Elegido.
Pronounce it, Pato.
The chosen one.
That wasn't bad.
Oh my God.
Leave him alone.
Memory. But what do we think to that, lads? Is he worth stumping up that amount of cash for? I mean, it would be the most for a manager by a distance.
By a mile.
And two, if he doesn't go to Real Madrid, who else is going to take up that position for? Who might nurture that position for a year while they put something more long term in place?
Oh God,
it's a tough one. So, I'm not sure how we're going to differentiate our answers dramatically from how we reacted on Sunday Vibes, but let's go for it.
I think what they're going to do is they're desperate for Pochettino, but I don't see them paying £42.5 million. It's a risk. It is a risk. As good as he is in the Premier League and as good as a tactician and building a young squad, that is a risk for the immediate success of Real Madrid. Because at the end of the day, he can only go backwards from their current position, at least in
Any
Europe.
more of a risk than, signing Eden Hazard for 150, 200?
Potentially, yes, because you could get rid of him after 6 months to a year. And at least Eden Hazard's probably going to provide slightly more length than that.
He's still an asset.
Yeah, I think what they're going to do is they're going to promote Guti from within and make him temporary manager of the club, or at least temporary coach in charge.
What a player he was.
And then from there, they'll look at getting Pochettino next year.
But why would he be any cheaper next year?
Because it's another $6.5 million taken off however much he's earning.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's still going to be like 36 million.
To Real
right?
Madrid,
like, I mean, this is a club.
This
is a club who forked out nearly 50 million quid on Vinicius Junior after the had like barely even kicked a ball.
That's very true.
Like, they're going to be paying that for toddlers.
I just feel like they're going to give temporary charge to Guti.
I mean, I don't think that's an unreasonable thing for them to do. But I don't see. But if the plan is to get Pochettino, you might as well get Pochettino. The only problem is, I kind of agree with you in the sense that if they get him, they've got to understand what expectations are. So they've got to get him and say, we know the squad's getting older. We need you to rebuild it so that we can win another 4 Champions Leagues in 5 years in, say, 2025.
Not happening though, is it?
Well, no, probably not. But like, I don't know, Sarri seems like a more sensible option to me. Sarri's going to cost a lot less. He's going to cost about 7 million quid. He's going to play really attractive football. And Real Madrid fans have always seemed to me like they're pissed off about the fact that Barcelona are known for playing amazing football and Real Madrid are known for like getting the job done. I mean, getting the job done isn't the worst thing in the world. But the last Real Madrid, Ancelotti's side was quite fun to watch, but actually the best football I've seen from a Real Madrid team over the last 10, 15 years was from Mourinho's Real Madrid, I think. They were f***ing great.
Yeah, when Mesut Ozil was
Ozil, Di Maria, Khedira and Alonso, it was amazing.
19-20 assists in a season across all competitions.
They were so good, man. And so if I were Real Madrid, I would kind of think, you know what, wouldn't it be great if we got the manager who's available right now for about 7 million, who will be who will play the best football in Europe, and he got 91 points with Napoli this season with Callejon playing on the right, with Pep in goal. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's going to kick up a
Real Madrid don't
fuss
care.
with Ancelotti.
Real Madrid don't give a like Real Madrid don't actually care about this sort of thing, right? Because if you smoke on the bench, you're not going to manage Arsenal. But Real Madrid don't care. Like all the stuff that's kind of an issue with Sarri, if he were to come to say the Premier League, and everyone would throw shit fit about. In Spain is a less politically correct country, and I don't think. But
I'm thinking less that. I'm thinking more when Perez starts signing players and going, "You need to be playing him, Sarri, in this position." I don't see Sarri going, okay, I'm happy with that. I think Zidane is the rare exception of a manager who has been able to get away with that at Real Madrid.
From what we've gone on behind the scenes as well, Sarri's an extremely cagey guy to work with, and he's very protective of his players, renowned for hating the media at large. Has he got the tools outside of football to effectively run a club like Real Madrid in the same way that Pep Guardiola? Because if you're a club like Real Madrid or Barcelona, you're not just a manager, are you? You're an ambassador. You're a spokesperson.
Yeah.
Are those elements of the job going to fit him? Are they going to put him off? Would he just be better suited?
The market is thin. I actually think the market is really there's not many good managers available. They've all been snapped up.
There's some decent managers available, but not great.
Yeah, like Sarri is a very good manager. I just don't think he's the right fit behind the scenes for a club like Real Madrid. I think on the pitch you're completely right, get him playing fantastic football, but I think he'd probably clash very heavily with Ronaldo, and Ronaldo is inevitably the strongest voice at all times in the Real Madrid.
But I think the concern at this point though is that if you're a club like Real Madrid and you want to get one of the best managers in the world are now guys who are really demanding of their players. They want them to press and they want them to perform like a tactical plan to a T.
Yeah.
Right. So your Tuchel's, Pochettino's, Sarri's, like all these guys, like that's what they really want. And the thing is, with that Real Madrid squad, I wouldn't be convinced that they're going to do what I tell them to do. And so in a way, you could argue that Real Madrid are going to always be kind of condemned to getting managers who are just below the top level, because what they need is fixers rather than guys who are actually going to kind of execute a vision.
Zidane changed that ethos a little bit, didn't he? He didn't sign anyone that was, any headline stars, and he brought on youth, brought down the average age of the squad, and there's less egos to manage now at Real Madrid. I'd have thought than in the last sort of 10 years.
So would you not say that tactically Zidane just was sort of like, I will work within the limitations that are given to me. So like he knows that Ronaldo's not going to press, so he has to figure out a way to get the best out of that team, because Ronaldo's not going to do what he's told to do.
He was a great problem solver, Zidane.
That's why Benzema played, an awful lot. But so is Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, well, I don't think Poch is going to accept that, basically. Like, I think Poch is going to be like, if you're leading the line for me, you're going to do what I tell you to do.
Poch is going to bend and flex his will to suit Ronaldo. You think he's going to impose himself on Ronaldo? Because I think Poch would he's going to give Ronaldo a certain amount of leeway, isn't it?
But if you know that this is your shot at a big club, then I think you've also got to say, this is the way that my team plays, and like obviously you adapt a little bit, but you can't let Ronaldo do absolutely nothing, because you're like, you have to do something that I tell you to do, because otherwise I'll up my one chance at the Real Madrid job.
Isn't that something that Ronaldo was told to do last season? Wasn't that sitting out games, not playing as much, being more of a golfer, having more shots from inside the box, and he was doing all those things, wasn't he? I mean, look at Villas-Boas when he arrived at Chelsea. He tried to, young manager, sort of was obviously didn't have the pedigree that Poch has, but was trying to impose his way of playing on the side, and the senior members of staff just got him axed, didn't they? 6 months into the season.
I think that would be a genuine concern if I was Pochettino. I really do. I think that Cristiano Ronaldo is not going to leave Real Madrid, or it would be a complete surprise if he did. And whoever comes in has to match his ego. I think Zidane had the kind of history and the respect amongst the footballing community of, I'm Zinedine Zidane, you're going to listen to what I say when I speak, even as good as you are, Cristiano. As a footballer, I was one of the best in the world. I think Pochettino isn't at that level yet. He might be tactically better, and he might be a better coach, but demanding respect from superstars is a really hard-learned skill, I think. And I don't think Pochettino has it in the same way that Zidane did yet.
So you can also just have it, like it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're that you were a great player. For instance, there are
you might have the charisma.
Well, you know, sometimes you meet a person who just commands a room, and it's possible, like, we don't know what it's like to be in a dressing room with a Pochettino.
Yeah, it's very true.
You know, so like, you know, Ferguson obviously built his kind of like his own mythology. But before he did that, like, everybody always said that he was just like the king of whatever room he walked into. And so I think that...
And he was a master delegator, wasn't he?
And Pochettino, he knew how to do that. But with Pochettino, like, what's really interesting about the players he works with is that they all end up kind of like members of the Pochettino cult. The same with Klopp's players. Like, they really worship him and look up to him. And so I could imagine that Pochettino would, you know, put his arm around Cristiano Ronaldo and say, look, we need you to do this if you want to have the best career you can have, if you want to score the most goals.
So would you pay the 42.5 million for him?
No, I'd probably just get Sarri.
But if you, if you're Poch, like, and you go into that Real Madrid side at the moment, you are going to have to give Ronaldo a certain amount of kind of artistic license, let's say.
I think he would.
No one else is scoring the goals.
I think he would.
Not only would he have to go in there, if he was to go in there and impose himself on Ronaldo, he'd also have to have another option, which without Morata, you know, having sold him last season, he doesn't have. He's also got an aging Karim Benzema who scored 5 goals in La Liga.
Yeah. I think he would be able to do that, though. That is the one area I think Poch would be able to, like, in terms of making players fit into a system. I think that's what he's very good at.
But I think if you're going to accommodate Ronaldo, you'd actually need to do quite a lot of work to the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Because you can't afford to also have Cristiano Ronaldo or even Asensio.
It's old as
defensive
old as
Gareth Bale essentially doing what he wants as well, because he's coming into this season unhappy. Anything else to say on the subject?
What about Wenger then? If we're talking about managers to come in and maybe just settle a few stars down, you said in the past, Pato, that Wenger works best with like superstars players, like really top level players like Henry and Bergkamp and stuff, and getting the best out of them. So why not give it to a man like Wenger who has experience working with star players and just say, look, settle it all down for a little bit?
Well, I mean, Wenger would be good at that side of it, but tactically, he's not going to deliver the Champions League for you, I don't think. On the other hand, you could argue, that his problems tactically could be solved by just having access to extremely high-level talent.
Potentially what Zidane's done. Not the best tactical manager, but...
Yeah, if you said to Wenger, like, look, you're going to take
Zidane,
1 or 2
imagine
years...
Imagine if Pochettino or Wenger had the 2.5 years that Zidane's had at Real Madrid. Like, insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what would happen, though. Like, if you got somebody to take over who was just, like, middle of the range, you know, and see what they did with this squad. But I think we're coming to the end of that cycle, so they can either get, like you say, an elder statesman in, or just a kind of steward to take them for a little while, or they could say, we're going to get the guy in who's going to have a vision for how this squad is going to look in 4 years' time.
That is quite interesting that Zidane leaving the club also coincides with the club needing major surgery, so they can't, you know, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, they might have been able to promote from within with a little bit more ease. The transition would have been smoother, right? But if Goosey takes the reins now,
it'd be difficult for him.
Without that lack of managerial experience and with the problems he faces, like you said, reconstructing the squad, it's going to be extremely difficult, which might bode well with someone like Wenger, who, you know, we need to lay down more long-term plans. Like, if I'm Florentino Perez, I need to know who I'm now signing in a lot of positions in 12 months' time. And Wenger might imagine a little tan on the guy. He takes smoking back up. He's ditched the jacket. It's 20
gets
degrees.
The glasses back out. You know, the circular glasses back out.
That club is crying out
skinny
for
face.
Also the sun is.
That club's crying out for a guy with an elite head after Zidane, and Wenger has an absolutely incredible hairline.
Yeah, if you don't want Wenger to succeed at Real Madrid, then you need to have a word with yourself. What do you guys think? What was the first question we asked? Would Mourinho ruin Manchester United? Yeah. And who should take over at Real Madrid? Let us know in the comments below. Next question. Next question comes from Paddy Jackaman, no relation to Hugh, and he's asked, what big nation do you think could bottle the World Cup? Tuesday said I look like a bottle today.
What?
Just, you know, pop my head off and drink
What kind of bottle?
No, a Carlsberg one, I think she referenced. She drinks a lot of bottles, she's got a problem. Anyway, Pato, you're kicking us off with Argentina.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but I do think that Argentina have the ability to completely balls up this World Cup.
Yeah.
Sampaoli hasn't been in charge for very long, but he plays such an intense system that it's possible the team just haven't adapted to it. I mean, they've played 11 games. They've lost or drawn 5 of those, which is worse than you'd expect for Argentina. They lost 4-2 to Nigeria. A very talented but a very young Nigeria side with Iwobi and Iheanacho. They lost 6-1 to Spain, which was a fucking calamity. Like, I mean, if you watch the highlights, it's like watching Spain play, like England or something.
Yeah, Isco had a fucking field day, didn't he?
It's embarrassing. Yeah, he's got so much space. It was embarrassing. Iago Aspas made them look like pubbers. It was unbelievable. But they played 5 different formations in 11 games.
Yeah.
Which is nice, that you need to get a sense of like what formation fits your team. But also, how the are they meant to realise what they're meant to be doing?
Yeah. Who was it? It was a minnow. It might have been China or someone of that calibre. They battered them, but they started with 2 at the back.
I think this was that was either Singapore or Haiti.
Argentina,
it might have been Haiti.
They absolutely annihilated Haiti and Singapore, and yet they've still.
That's rude. That's actually rude.
I think they beat Singapore 6-0.
It's insulting.
But when you look at their players at the back, it's no surprise. Like their centre back pairing in this World Cup is going to be Otamendi plus some idiot. Like it could, like Fazio is probably their second best centre back, who's good, but he's not exactly going to cover a lot of ground.
Is
he's
Rojo
very slow.
going?
Rojo's going.
I like
their
Fazio.
fullbacks are Ansaldi. Yeah, but he's not mobile.
Yeah.
Their fullbacks are like Ansaldi, Rojo as well, I guess. Mercado. All these guys are super old, by the way. And
they just sound like generic.
They're taking Mascherano.
South American regions.
I think they're taking Mascherano because they think if we win the World Cup and Mascherano doesn't get a medal, it will be a travesty. But he's 34 and he's playing in China. It's a disaster. Like the team is absolutely all over the shop. Until you get forward.
No
They're
Dybala.
not taking Paredes, who would be really good in midfield. They're not taking Icardi. They are taking Dybala. He's definitely in the 23.
Yeah,
but,
although Sergio Romero, their starting keeper's out as well. Sergio Romero's out.
Yeah, Willy Caballero.
Yeah, Willy Caballero's starting goal.
Penalty specialist.
Mate, they're an absolute disaster. They're an absolute disaster. So I don't know. I look at that team and there's tons and tons of talent, but at the same time I'm like, are we still playing a central midfield of Mascherano and Lucas Biglia in this day and age?
Yeah, I mean, Higuain's still got 16 league goals. It's just a dramatic drop-off, right, from seasons that have come before. So you'd still take him. Imagine, 16,
I wouldn't start him.
It's like taking someone with Jamie Vardy's output, although he got 20 league goals.
No, Jamie Vardy's had a way better season than Higuain. I would take Vardy over Higuain right now. Definitely.
Oh, God.
Fire.
Drop mic. Anyway, Tomlinson. What big team?
I don't think England are going to do very well. I think England
will be all right.
I don't know whether to categorise England as one of the big teams.
I don't think expectations have ever been lower, so why don't you avoid answering?
I think any team who are around the top 10, I think they count as a big team.
Maybe Portugal. I have a little talk about Portugal. I think categorise Portugal because they're European champions at least as a big team.
They were dark horses for the Euros.
Yeah.
And now expectations have risen significantly, and their squad still has gaps, doesn't it?
Their squad is so old. It's like Russian old. It's like Pepe, Jose Font, Ricardo Quaresma. Even Cristiano Ronaldo is now coming towards the tail end of his career, isn't he? And also the younger players who we once thought they might burst onto the scene sort of in the last Euros. You look at the likes of Andre Silva. We've also got Renato Sanchez. Renato Sanchez is even gone. Didn't even go. That's how poor he is. That's how big a drop-off he's experienced in his career. He was one of... Did he take home the Golden Boy Award from the Euros?
He was the best young player at the Euros and he won the Golden Boy.
But players like Adrien Silva aren't really getting a game at Leicester.
Cedric
who's just
João
gone
Mario.
down with Southampton.
And then they're taking Manuel Fernandes, who's 32, instead of taking, say, Ruben Neves, who's had a great season. Like there are players that...
No, I think Ruben Neves is gone.
Has he really? Because I know they aren't taking Danilo, who started pretty much every game at the Euros, but they are taking William Carvalho. Like, you look around that squad and you're like, they have some of the best young talent in the world. No Ronnie Lopez either. Lopez, who...
That was so weird. In my head I was going, are they taking Ronnie Lopez?
No, Ronnie Lopez. Not taking him. Why would you? You take Quaresma instead, who's got about 5 goals in 4 years.
Ronnie Lopez had a great season at Monaco. I think he got, 12 plus league goals? Maybe half as many 15 assists as well? 15, that's 12 plus.
It feels like, though, that Portugal have like a really good young generation that haven't had a great season and a really old generation who were once great, but no middle area. There's like no middle ground in there of like 26, 27-year-olds that are just hitting the peak of their power.
I think what's exciting for Portugal is, and like you're right, they haven't produced maybe high caliber defensive talent that can take the mantle from that
since 2000
from that caliber of player for a long time. But they are producing exciting young forwards for the first time in a long time.
But then,
like, Ronaldo has shouldered that responsibility massively.
But those exciting young forwards haven't had great seasons.
But Ronnie Lopez has, Andre Silva, okay, like he was great during qualification at least. 9 goals in 15 appearances.
And his expected goals were good this season. Like he underperformed. Gonzalo Guedes has obviously had a good season. Diogo Jota, like, has had
I personally don't see Portugal getting past the maybe round of 16, quarterfinals. Don't have the best group either. They've got the Spanish in their group, so almost definitely going to finish second in the group and pull a decent team in the first round of 16.
But the one thing about them is they play such a solid defensive style, and I don't know, as old as Jose Font and Pepe are, they're still really good in the air. Like, Pepe's still going to be pretty decent. And like, I do think that at the World Cup, when you look at the teams that win it, they don't tend to be the expansive attacking side. They tend to be the teams who have a really solid midfield. Even when Spain won the World Cup, they played Busquets and Xabi Alonso.
Like, I kind of feel like I actually wouldn't want to meet Portugal if I was England. So maybe that sums it up a little bit.
Yeah, because they'll just shithouse you out.
Although England are also going to shithouse this tournament. Let's have it right. They're going to play 2 defensive midfielders in Henderson and Dyer. You're going to play 3 at the back. The wing backs, although they are wing backs in like Trippier and Ashley Young, not the most expansive wing backs in the world, they're going to shithouse their way.
Doesn't that make you positive? Because like they haven't done that for ages. Like there's always been this thing where every manager has basically got from the press about how they need to play an attacking style and get creativity in the midfield. And as a result, they've tried to do that far too much.
Yeah,
like this time, I think if you were like, look, it wouldn't be exciting or whatever, but if you play like a Dyer Livermore midfield, you're going to be hard to beat.
I also think
it's going to be Dyer, Henderson, Ali.
Gareth Southgate has, for the first time in a long time, England aren't trying to shoehorn anyone into the squad. So for the last couple of tournaments, it's been Wayne Rooney.
How does he get in there?
We were putting
Gerrard
Scholes on the left-hand side. Yeah, no one could touch. Yeah, that Gerrard and Lampard midfield combination could there. So yeah, that kind of license to pick a little bit more of an we said expansive team. It can be expansive in selection. The team might not play expansively.
Yeah.
But might benefit us. I'm going to go for Belgium because Robert Martinez,
the worst manager in the world.
Bob Martinez,
Big Bob the builder, can't build a defence, can he? At Wigan, goals conceded over the sort of 4 years he was there, 79, 61, 62, 73. Yes, they were relegation candidates, but Huddersfield played gung-ho football, don't they? Their goal difference was, I think they conceded 58 this season, and they conceded a lot of goals. So 79.
Yeah, because he can't. It's like when he took over at Everton and he had Moyes' defensive structure.
But it's also the way it gets worse. Like that's his first season, but then they get better. And then they get worse again. Like they just keep getting worse.
It's interesting you say that, Pato, because at Everton he conceded 39 on the back of that Moyes defence, then 50. Okay, the wheels start to come off a little bit. Then 55.
It's ridiculous.
So it's there in black and white on my sheet. He can't coach your defence. And Patrick, you're not a big fan of him leaving Nainggolan out, are you? You think he's Belgium's best midfielder.
Yeah, he is.
So the all-rounder.
How has he not
announced his retirement straight after, and they do lack outstanding fullbacks, considering their system is pretty dependent on the left wing back, the right wing back. In fact, I think they've got Thomas Meunier, Jordan Lukaku. Interesting that Thomas Tuchel said, just on the subject of Thomas Meunier, that PSG don't have world-class fullbacks. Their fullbacks aren't good enough, and Thomas Meunier is one of them. So, and he's one of their outstanding performers, I think, during qualification.
He was. He scored a lot of goals.
He scored a hat-trick against Bumble FC. And to make matters worse, the people that he's used as auxiliary fullbacks, totally wasting their talents there by playing them, and they've been wholly ineffective. Players like Carrasco, Adnan Januzaj.
Januzaj is made out of paper mache.
And Chadley.
But I don't think those
going to the World Cup. Nainggolan's not.
I don't think those are even auxiliary wing backs though. Like I think his plan A is Carrasco playing left wing back. I think what he wants it to be. Wow, who is now in China playing like dog by all accounts, but is clearly a talented forward player. Let's play him left wing back. He's out of his mind. Bob Martinez.
He's lost it. He's lost it. He's actually lost it.
So that's my team. I think we should just flip this over to a poll before we start ranting about Roberto Martinez. Let us know in the poll just above Joe's head. Who's the worst? Who's the big team that's going to flop even? Is it going to be Belgium, Argentina or Portugal?
England.
Got there in the end. End of the show. So that's Continental Club for another week, guys. Thank you for getting your questions in. If you want us to answer yours, stick it in the comments below or get us on Twitter on these various handles. Gentlemen, what else is going on? Joe, FD, Balls Up, Pato, 90+1.
FD, VFN today, we're talking about whether or not Man United are going to sign Marko Arnautovic.
Oh, Jesus Christ. 90+1 has a World Cup special on its way out, so that's going to be very exciting. It's actually, I think, the most interesting one so far.
Oh, decent.
And it's less libelous than they normally are. It's only a little bit libelous.
No chat about Neymar and his sister this time around, then, no.
But that's just a fact, though, isn't it?
Fucks. And on Euro Football Daily, you have the losers edition of Stat Wars The Champions coming out tomorrow. Obviously, that sandwiches the last 16. Say last 16, it's the first stage, isn't it? 16 to quarterfinals. So, see you there. I won't be there. Joe will be. So.